It's such a momentous occasion for not just the city of Grapevine, the city of North Richland Hills, and the city of Fort Worth, but it's such a momentous occasion for the region, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and it is such a major statement by the Fort Worth Transportation Authority of their support for regionalism throughout the Metroplex. We're a Metroplex of now 7.2 million people. And although there are a few people out there that say this isn't the solution to our transportation congestion, and they're right, it's not the solution, but it's part of the answer and part of the choices you can make, that our citizens can make, to leave North Richland Hills and go to Grapevine, Texas, and enjoy a meal, enjoy just everything they have going on in Main Street, and come home. Or go to downtown Fort Worth and enjoy the arts and everything that they have going on, another meal. We can fatten up just going between Grapevine and Fort Worth, and then come home. And years down the line, maybe we can have folks working in Richardson and Plano, in Addison, and living here in Tarrant County. I think it is the future. And to the naysayers, we understand everybody has their opinions, and that's okay. Have your opinions, but the facts are the facts. And the facts are, we have to be doers. We have to get something done for the citizens of this region. Saying no and sitting on our hands is not the solution, and we're moving in that direction. We're moving in that direction because of leaders like Glenn Whitley, Betsy Price, Mayor Bill Tate, and others that have contributed so much, and Scott yourself included, that have contributed so much for the movement forward that we're seeing the first steps. We're actually seeing the first public steps, because we've seen a lot of steps privately as the works behind the scene. But we're seeing the first steps of this TEXRail becoming a reality. We are excited for TEXRail in North Richland Hills. Way to go. Let's do a round of applause. Kristen, you did good. That's great. I'd like to introduce a few folks. First, Mayor Pro Tem Tim Welch from our council, Councilman Tito Rodriguez, who you'll hear from in a little bit, Rita Wright-Ojeski, Councilwoman, Councilman Tom Lombard. Dr. Barth from TCU couldn't join us, but he sends his regards and his support. Councilman David Whitson couldn't join us, and the same thing. He sends his regards and his support. And then Councilman Scott Turnage. Scott, to the council, thank you all for being here. To our city manager, Mark Hindman, and the city staff. Mark, where are you? Sitting here. And staff, you guys do a fantastic job. We're blessed in Northeast Tarrant County that the cities have fantastic staffs. They make the councils look good, and we get a lot done because of the professionalism and the great staffs we have. So, Mark, to you and the staff, thank you for the job you do. Eric with Congressman Burgess's office is with us. Eric. And, of course, Susan Young with Kelly Hancock's office. Susan, thank you for joining us. I'd be remiss if I didn't introduce Mayor Bill Tate from the city of Grapevine. Bill, without your help and Bruno's help, North Richland Hills wouldn't be a part of this action. And we appreciate the help that you publicly, and I've told you privately, we appreciate the help and seeing the need for regionalism and including North Richland Hills in the TEXRail operation. To you, Bill, thank you. Bruno Rumbelow. Bruno, where are you? Bruno's back here. Bruno Rumbelow, the city manager at Grapevine. The same thing can be said for you, between you and Mark, as much of the details as y'all work through. Thank you. Thank you for continued behind-the-scene work to get us to this location and this point. At this time, I'd like to ask Tito if he would come up and introduce the board members from the Fort Worth Transportation Authority.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. I am, of course, truly honored to be able to serve on City Council in North Richland Hills, but also honored to serve as a board member of the T. And my task this morning, and it is my pleasure, to introduce my fellow board members who are in attendance this morning. First of all, Scott Mahaffey, our chairman. Andre McEwing, I think he was running a little bit late. I'm not sure if he's here yet. John Franks, Neftali Ortiz, and of course the president and CEO of the T, Paul Ballard. Thank y'all for being here this morning.
And Tito's appointment was, he was appointed by the county court. Glenn Whitley, Gary Fickus, and the other commissioners appointed Tito to the board, and we do appreciate having Tito not represent North Richland Hills on the board of the T, but represent the county. I think it's important that he continues to look at it as his appointment as a county position and continue to look at it with a regional view. You know, according to our city history book, that Mark Wood, Mark, where are you? That Mark Wood had a part in helping on was our city history book, and back in 1887, and Bill talked about it, the Cotton Belt Railroad first came through our community. It stopped at the Smithfield Depot twice a day, 10:10 in the morning and 10:10 at night. It was going east to Plano and Greenville, and the fare was 35 cents. The railroad, as Bill said, provided so much important transportation service for area residents and was a major catalyst for the commercial development. After the railroad came, a canning factory and other business opened near the depot on Main Street, and it thrived there for many decades. It's so exciting to see passenger rail now returning to the Cotton Belt line. It has been a long time coming. We've been planning towards the location of the two rail stations for over a decade. Over a decade we've been working on this. In 2005, long before we knew that it was coming, we voted to change the name of Industrial Park Boulevard, which is right here, to Iron Horse Boulevard. And we did it in anticipation of the future commuter rail service and the rail station. We didn't want Industrial Park Station. It just didn't quite have a ring to it. Our transit-oriented development strategic plan was adopted in 2009, and in 2015, 6 years later, with the help of Grapevine and Fort Worth, we formalized our agreement with the Fort Worth Transportation Authority. The station will be just a few blocks south of us on 5 acres near this intersection. It'll be located on 5.5 acres just northeast of, there'll be another one at Smithfield Station, 5.5 acres located just northeast of the intersection of Smithfield Road and Mid-Cities Boulevard. The benefits for our community not only provide greater transportation options for our residents, not only to get cars off congested roadways, not only to get people to work at DFW or in the city of Grapevine or in the city of Fort Worth, but to get out of the house to enjoy the amenities that are offered throughout the region. And also it improves our air quality. It offers an option to increase the convenience for those who work and use DFW Airport. It offers an option for our senior citizens to be able to take advantage of so many things in the region that they can't get to right now because they're scared of the traffic on the roadways. This is a safe, easy way to get there. The businesses here in NRH also benefit. With the new Iron Horse and Smithfield stations, it'll make them more accessible to employees and customers. And much like the railroads of the 1800s, it'll bring new development to our community. We already have several that have been approved, as you can see over here in this tent. Dustin and John Barfield and others have already moved forward with some pretty exciting plans. We'll see 100,000 square feet of new commercial space and more than 1,500 new residential units, including apartments, townhouses, and patio homes. In the Smithfield area, 93 new townhomes and patio homes are under development within a third of a mile, with even more residential and commercial development being planned. Several of those developers are here with us. If you get time, visit with them, and you'll see what great plans they have. We're just excited. We are extremely excited, myself and the council, to see the work that we've been doing for so many years coming to fruition. To the T, we welcome you. And Scott, would you like to say a few words? We welcome you.
It is bright on this side. This is an exciting day, and before I get into talking about what's coming, I want to give you a little story about your mayor. I've been on the Regional Transportation Committee for 3.5 years, and the first person who came up and really sat down and talked to me to explain how it worked was your mayor, Mayor TREVINO. He told me who to listen to, who not to listen to, and what to say and when not to say it. So for that, I give you a personal thanks. You've probably kept me out of a lot of trouble. No, this is an exciting day in transportation in North Texas, in our own community, because as Mayor TREVINO said, cities, and Mayor Tate said this earlier, cities that have rail and rail service have a quality of life that other places will not have. The days of us living in our own cities, me in Fort Worth, you in North Richland Hills, Grapevine, those are past. People live and work in different places now, and they have to have a way to get to and from. This project didn't start the last few years. It started decades ago when people that were in our positions then started thinking about what was happening. Even if you look back 150 years ago when the railroad came into Fort Worth, there were people who were opposed to it because they didn't want a railroad coming into their town. And the cities that didn't get rail coming into them, they died and went away. Cities that got rail got prosperity. That is the same thing we're looking at nowadays, is because people that have the foresight and the vision to plan are the ones that survive and do well in the future. One of the big things we're seeing now and more is transit-oriented development. And you'll see the term TOD, which means build something where people live. If you look around the world, some of the most expensive property is around train stations. Europe, it's all over the place. Asia, it's all over the place. And we're moving in more in that direction. We're blessed in this area with so much land that development is going to come to our area with or without our assistance. However, for it to be successful and have companies coming in, the two things they want are good schools and transportation where they can get workers. There are places in Dallas that workers can't get to that major companies have come in because there is no transportation. Transportation is not something that starts today and we have it in a week. It's things that we're talking about now for the year 2040. It's what politicians are looking at. But getting back to what happened 150 years ago, you had a land grant system that was going to give rail if it could get into Fort Worth by a certain date. And they were 2 days away, and they were having a legislative hearing, and one of the Fort Worth legislators had to be carried in on a cot so he could vote, so he couldn't abstain and stop the railroad. To make it a little bit better, I'm sure all city councils are everything above board and transparent nowadays, but I'm not sure they were 150 years ago. The city of Fort Worth moved its boundaries 2.5 miles, and the citizens came out and they reached the city limits on the right time. So there's a lot of things we're doing. There's a lot of things we're doing right. And I think when you see the kind of facility that you're building and the kind of vehicles that we're going to be running through them, it's not that. That's nice, neat, but that's not what people want now. We're having a train, DMU, diesel multiple unit, that will carry about 250 standing, 250 sitting, and it will have all the amenities that anybody nowadays wants. Comfortable seats, drop-down tables, USB ports, and one thing that we've added is a quiet car, which in Europe is a big thing, and it's a premium service that you can go in there and there's not somebody with a radio or there's not somebody making noise. It's where you can work, sleep, do your business, whatever you want to, no cell phones. So we're seeing what the next generation of train riders want, and we're working to build that. What we're going to have is 27 miles, 9 stations that will start in downtown Fort Worth and end up at DFW Airport, but it will connect into Dallas and through the DART system. So people will have the ability to transit the entire northeastern part of our county into Dallas County, and the quality of life will change, the mobility. People talk about, well, we could have stopped this, and if we could stop this, we could have more money to build roads. We can't build roads. This is $1 billion. $1 billion doesn't buy many roads. Roads and bridges are expensive, trains are expensive, but we can move a lot of people for many years on this. It doesn't take away right-of-way. We already have the right-of-way. So it's a labor of love that I think that the whole community in North Texas is going to get. But I will commend both Mayor Tate and Mayor Trevino have seen it. Other mayors haven't embraced it as others have. But those that do take transportation seriously and plan for the future will have cities that grow and develop, and those that don't will end up being sub-cities to these. So with that, thank you so much for your vision. Thank you so much for your support, and we welcome you and look forward to working with you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's interesting when we talk about build more roads, and I'm a road builder. I'm all for building roads, but how many Whataburgers do you take out, or how many gas stations do you take out, and how many lanes can you really put in? And how many people can you carry on that lane? 500 people at max? That's a lot of people. And that's not just one. That's over and over and over. So that makes a lot of sense. Well, let's do some groundbreaking. And what I'd like to do is ask the North Richland Hills City Council if they would please come up with the shovel.